Alright, good evening everyone. This is the Town Sheldon Selectboard and Water Commissioner meeting for Monday, April 14th, 2025. Under new business, we have an application for liquor licenses and permits. The Abbey Restaurant and Pub. Application for road cut permit on the Poor Farm Road. Got Town Administrator's report. Need to sign and approve the March 24th meeting minutes. Need to sign and approve warrants 31679 and 31681 and payroll 31682. We've got some excess weight permits. Under old business, we need to finalize the employee annual reviews, schedule a meeting to review the salt shed site, open meeting law and municipal ethics training, and we need to act upon any other business thought proper on that. Is there anything else we need to add to the agenda tonight?
I'd like to go into executive session, discuss a couple items, one town specific and the other personnel.
Okay. We can do that at the end of the meeting. Anything else, Matt? Or
I'm fine for right now.
okay. Well, if there's no one here, we'll jump right into the licenses.
Yeah, so there's 3 licenses there.
3 of them?
Yeah,
They're all
in
need
that.
separate signatures? Or is it one package?
It's one packet,
Okay.
yeah, and I think we just need a motion on it, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if it's necessary. Now, the road cut, that's, we might need to talk about that a little bit,
Okay.
but the liquor license, or license, so it's a class 1 rep license, a class 3 license, and an outside, serving, permit.
Okay.
Which is pretty much the standard thing that they've been doing for a while. Excuse me.
Alright, I'll take a motion to approve these licenses.
I'll make the motion.
I second it.
Alright, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yep. Approved. On the road cut.
So Seth went down, so this is for, Louis Kind, that's Heidi Durkee's husband,
Okay.
for their, and they've come into the possession of the Poor Farm down there on the end of Poor Farm Road. And they're asking for a road cut permit, but Seth went down and looked at it, and according to our, he's got a pretty good diagram of what he wants to build there. They have a zoning permit application in to build a new house down there.
Okay.
And they want to put it kind of on the hillside behind where the barns are. And they want to build a driveway up to it. And they also need to get power up there. Right now, the power pole ends right at the end of the road. And they want to put a ditch in to put some underground cable to head it up there. But Seth was looking at we looked at the map of the road, and we're not sure that they really need a driveway permit for it, because they have, the road actually ends before, the town highway ends before.
So they're actually on the Poor Farm.
Right, exactly. They're kind of already on the Poor Farm driveway. But they applied for and paid for this permit, but I'm not sure that it really I'm not sure that it really needs to be approved, because they already kind of have a driveway cut, because the driveway they have now is just an extension of the road. And as far as Seth and I can tell, where it is that they want to put this buried cable isn't in the town right away, because it's on their driveway, so.
So when the guys plow up there, do they go a little further and turn around or something?
I think they used to, but then they asked them not, I think they didn't like us doing that anymore, so now I think they stopped at that. I'm not sure where they turn around now, but I don't think we go all the way to the end to where the barns are anymore. to turn around. So I don't know that we really necessarily need to approve this permit, although they did pay for it, but,
Well,
anyway, that's why Seth didn't bother signing it, because he said there's not really anything for me to approve there.
That dotted line of computer generated, is that with, that the proposed driveway? I mean, if you look at this,
Yeah, yes, but the road kind of ends right there already.
so what does this,
Yeah.
what does this represent? Because this looks like, oh, that's the,
Yeah, they
That's
already
the barn.
Yeah, there's some barn. This is where the road kind of already goes.
yeah, right.
Basically, this end section of it is already their driveway. So the town stops me where this pole is. That's
Yep.
more or less where the town highway ends.
So
Already.
do they have to, I don't know where else they would turn around other than either here or
Yeah.
somewhere in
I don't know
there.
if they turn around back here in this driveway or what. I'm not sure where we're turning around right now.
that's
Um,
not the issue anyways. It's
Right.
Well, I would say, I guess if it's not on the town road, that we would contact them and just explain that to them and refund their money back on them, because
okay.
we don't need to, or give them a credit toward their building permit or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
something
we'll
like
have
that, but I don't think we should charge them for a permit on something that isn't actually
Right.
town
Okay.
property.
Yeah.
And then just explain to them about the trench that it's not
Right.
on town right away,
Right.
so it's.
And I think all that is essentially the same thing that they're turning in for the zoning permit too. It's the same sketch plan basically, so.
They match up.
Pretty good.
Match up what he's got.
Okay,
So yeah, I'd say that's how to handle that. We don't really have the authority to charge it for a road cut when it's not on our road.
yeah, I'll take it, I guess I'll ask Seth about what will we do there with the turnaround. But my understanding was that I think we used to go all the way to the end and turn around. I remember when I was a kid, the bus went down there and turned around.
Right, yeah.
I think-
That's why
I think now they don't want us to do that anymore. All the town maps I can find show the town highway ending right where that trailer is.
well, I didn't know if the
Yeah.
town still plowed up through there, and that's why maybe they thought it was part of the
Maybe.
town road or something, but. Okay,
Okay.
let's do our warrants and permits, so we can get that out of the way. So that is some. Also, just.
Yeah.
I'll read the meeting minutes over and just, get that over there. Okay, so the water commission special meeting minute.
I should say regular meetings, that's my mistake.
Oh, it's a regular meeting, okay. Held March 24th of 2025. In attendance from the select board was Maria Davison, Stephen Dodd, Nicholas Norris, Richard Piasny, and Greg Stebbins. Others here was Seth Cattell, the highway foreman, Matt Stebbins, town administrator, and Jerry Vasey from Northwest Access TV. 7:37, I called the meeting to order and read the agenda. At 7:40, Seth Cattell gave the highway report. Recent maintenance, coal patch repairs, applied stone and graded Cattell and Duffy Hill roads, repaired broken missing signs on Crow Hill and Daniel roads, picked up roadside trash, equipment work, placed street sweeper broom, change the oil in the trucks, coming up with the 2 new garage doors coming in April, discussed some 2025 projects. Lowering road shoulders on Bridge and Pleasant Street, acquiring a second lawnmower, dismantling salt shed, Board asked about building a fence around the garage property, upgrading and widening a class 4 section of Swamp Road and Bedard Road turnaround. 8:15, Matt Stebbins gave the town administrator's report. And with the board discussed highway grant applications, spring inspections for the grand list, townwide reappraisal bids, reallocating HR tasks between the town clerk and the town administrator, and potential projects for the municipal planning grant application. 8:35, the board took up the appointment of the town forest fire warden. The appointment is for 5 years and is made jointly with the Commission of Forest Parks and Recreation. Nick Norris moved to reappoint Richard P.E.G as forest fire warden for 5 years, seconded by Greg Stebbins, and the motion carried. 8:36, I read the minutes from the March 3rd meeting. Rick moved to approve the minutes as read, seconded by Nick, and the motion carried. 8:41, I read the minutes from the March 10th meeting. Rick moved to approve the minutes as read, seconded by Maria, and motion carried. 8:47, I read the minutes from the March 12th meeting. Rick moved to approve the minutes as read, seconded by Nick, and the motion carried. At 8:49, I read the minutes from the March 21st meeting. Rick moved to approve the minutes as read, seconded by Nick, and the motion carried. 8:51, the board signed warrants and excess weight permits for Sticks and Stuff, Bell Vance Trucking, Camp Precast Concrete Products, Harrison Concrete and Ready Mix, John G. French and Sons Trucking Incorporated, S.T. Rogers Transport LLC. Permit for Curtis Lumber was not signed as payment had not yet been received. Greg noted that a schedule of the town's weight restrictions should be issued with each permit. 8:56, the board took up a municipal planning grant application and preferred a project focused on water and wastewater in Sheldon Springs. 8:59, Greg moved to approve the municipal planning grant application, seconded by Nick, and the motion carried. 9 o'clock, Nick made a motion to enter into executive session to conduct annual performance reviews for personnel, seconded by Rick, and the motion carried. In executive session, Nick moved that the town administrator be paid an annual salary of $55,000, seconded by Rick, and the motion carried. 9:55, Nick moved to exit executive session and adjourn the meeting, seconded by Rick, and the motion carried. Next regular meeting is the April 14th, which is tonight. I'll take the motion to accept these minutes as read.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? What do you got for us tonight, all right?
I got quite a list here. Let me
Oh, yeah.
start through here. Okay. So, as mentioned in the minutes, the garage doors, 2 of the garage doors were replaced on April 2nd. They do need to come back and, they haven't installed all the weather stripping around it, but they're gonna stop one day and do that. When they did that, when they had come a month or so ago to, fix one of the other doors that got backed into by the backhoe. And when they did that, they kind of took off with our ladder, my mistake.
Oh.
So they brought us a brand new ladder, so of course they couldn't find ours, so we upgraded. So anyway,
Oh, good.
sometimes things work out. Anyway, the guardrails were installed on the other side of Sheldon Heights today. And so that was our one remaining guardrail project we had, and I think we're gonna be under budget for what we had budgeted for that, so that's good. So I've kind of talked to them about maybe, there are a few guardrails that kind of need to be straightened out. That one on the Cook Road got hit pretty bad, and then there's a couple other ones, but they were not as interested in, I think they're back into putting them in the ground and not so interested in straightening them out, but he said we'll try to do some of that ourselves, but there are, I think for the moment, the town's done pretty well in terms of putting guardrails where they need to be. there are a couple places where we could probably think of where maybe we should have some, but there's a few of the older ones that probably need to be straightened up, and I'm not sure if they need to be, and then, Seth has a couple ideas where he'd like to move some of them away from the road a little bit in some cases, so. But I think we're pretty well set for this year, but in the future, if we plan any guardrail work, it'll probably be kind of repairing them as opposed to putting in brand new stuff.
Repairing and upgrading well.
Yeah. Let's see, staying on the highway, they have been out on the grader, and we've gotten the new guys in on, I think Hunter's got a fair amount of seat time, and Matt's gotten a little. I think we've graded basically all the roads except for, I think Eldridge and Swamp Road are the only, dirt roads we have left that haven't been done. And I think they'll be done tomorrow probably, if it doesn't get too wet.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think, they basically, kind of draw straws every morning, see who's gonna run on the grader for a while. And, seems like, some of them are more comfortable. I think Hunter's probably more comfortable than Matt is, but Matt, I went on the Maury Road, it didn't look too bad. He thought he did a pretty good job, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're planning on demoing the salt shed here, I think this week. Just gonna be kind of miserable the rest of this week, so I think they're thinking that might be a good thing to do.
I talked to him this morning, but he was wondering what to do with that. They're gonna try to separate steel, but he was wondering about that, the lumber
The
and stuff.
timbers,
But it's probably, he's gonna have to get hold of the cell right down there, 'cause it's got creosote and stuff on it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too, because unfortunately I'm not paid for it,
Yeah, well, gotta get rid of it.
but. Right.
He's gonna separate some of it, he said there is a few, the timbers and stuff.
Yeah, and we've got a pile of old, mangled culverts that we can bring down with it. We've got a pretty good pile of metal we can get together.
Yeah, that's what he said, he wanted to put one metal, and then he was kinda stressed about what to do with the wood stuff, and I said, just bring it down, or call them first, or whatever, but
Right.
they take that stuff down there, so.
Yeah. The other, still pretty much ready with the highway grant application that'll go out tomorrow for the class 2 paving and structures. Again, I think we're gonna try to, on the structure grant, we're gonna focus on the engineering first, and then, because some of those projects are so big that we're gonna need the whole grant to do the construction plus probably, so. So I'm not expecting to be successful on the paving, but maybe on the engineering side we'll get some help. I just wanted to keep them all together. Hunter unfortunately did not pass on his last wastewater test, but he's got another test scheduled for the first week of May. And he's working with a tutor from Rural Water, who's pretty knowledgeable guy, so he seems pretty, he's done one, he did one whole day with him last week. He's got at least 1 or 2 more days scheduled, so he's only got, I think he got scored in the low 60s and he needs to get into kind of the low 70s to pass it, so he's pretty close.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna segue into we have had a few water issues with pretty high usage here in general, and I think we've determined that it's probably the mill is doing some sort of renovation project down there where I think they're repairing or replacing one of their paper machines, and they have a lot of additional staff down there, and all sorts of people from out of state down there, so I'm thinking that might be why there's more water being used. So I called down there and spoke with their wastewater operator, but obviously they don't turn on all faucets anymore. But
Yeah.
So anyway, I have a communication out to the mill just to be like, hey, we can probably tolerate this for a short while, but if, it's just, Hubert's just a little worried about the stress on the pumps, cause we're basically using a whole reservoir. Not every day, but several days a week, we end up using, 70,000+ gallons of water, so,
Not to interrupt, but there appears to be more water coming out of that gas main.
Yeah.
In our
Hubert told me
driveway.
about that, yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's related to the water usage.
Yeah, Hubert said he had turned off the water main right in that area, and it didn't seem to have any effect on the water coming out of the ground. But yeah, we should get that looked at, because there's some sort of amazing amount of groundwater there, or I don't know.
Well, even in the wintertime, the water's running across the road, and the guys have to come out and salt that road when there's no snow. It's the only place they have to come to.
Yeah. Another issue we've had, and I think we had a little bit of an issue with our data reading on the tablet we have here, and I think Jane got that resolved, but those 2 meters that we had repaired, or that we repaired that we thought were, we still have some issues reading those for some reason, so we're trying to investigate that. We also had, briefly here last week, we had a septic issue here at the town office, which I know has happened before, but we ended up, Hubert told me he couldn't remember if we'd ever pumped the tank here, so we called up Working Dog and had the tank pumped, and I guess there's a screen in there that probably should be checked annually, that I don't know if that's been done for a while, so I think it seems to have solved the issue right now, but I think when, my understanding is when they put the new building in, the pipe under the road is still the old clay pipe, so there's a joint there between the plastic and the old pipe going under the road where there sometimes gets to be a problem, but this seemed to be more in the tank, I guess, so, and anyway, just another bill that you will see next time, I think, it seems to have been effective. We've had a couple of issues with the post office where some bills that were paid haven't gotten to the people that we sent them to. The electric bill, I think, was one of them, and then the town report bill, so I think I think they may have had to stop payment on a couple of things and reissue checks. So I'm not sure what happened there, but it's just something to let you be aware of. Let's see, this last Thursday, our VLCT loss consultant for our insurance was here to do a kind of general inspection. So I had kind of talked with him when we were talking about the Swan water line, so it was good to meet with him, and real interesting guy. So we toured the town garage, and I think pretty much everything that had been flagged last year had been fixed. So I think he was pleased with what was going on over there. He was focusing on lockout, tagout procedures for equipment and electrical panels, things like that. And I think there's a few things that we can do a little better, although we have less power equipment than a lot of other towns, so we don't have as many issues. But he said that that's something that he's just flagging up because he thinks VOSHA is kind of turning their attention to those issues, and particularly with municipalities, that seems to be something that they're not seeing a lot of compliance with or something. So anyway, that was the one, that was sort of the issue of the year. But in general, he seemed pleased with what we were doing in the town garage, and he and I stopped at the sewer plant because I don't think he'd ever toured there before either. So, and he understood. In general, he understood that it's a small plant, it's older, and we can't comply with not necessarily exactly what they might be looking for sometimes. But he had a few suggestions down there too that we could do. So I haven't received his report yet, but all in all, I think it was we have a pretty clean bill of health with respect to our liability and workers' comp. this week, on Wednesday, the state is gonna have a pre-construction meeting for their paving project that they're gonna do, so I'm gonna attend that. And, mostly we're just focused on making sure that, all the aprons are done, on the town roads are done all the way, down 105, cause, and Seth is thinking that we probably should wait to do our paving until after the state is done.
Yep.
Just cause it would make more sense to have them pave, after they pave the aprons, we can figure out how much more most of the roads that we have flagged to do are in the junction and are off of 105, so we thought it'd be better to wait until the state had done that, before we move on, but there's a few issues there that, I'll hope to talk to them about, some culverts that we'd like them to look at, and maybe, I know Greg would like to see them add some guardrails in a couple places, but we'll see. I think we've pretty much concluded the inspections for the grand list. We went out to all the houses that we looked at this fall, and there were a few others that we found out about. Actually, we're gonna have next Wednesday, I think we're gonna have kind of a little general staff meeting in the office about information sharing with, cause and I don't think it's anybody's in particular fault. Part of it's that we have new staff at every town clerk. We have a new town clerk, we have a new zoning administrator, and we have a new assessor in the last year. And so just making sure, and they're not all necessarily here at the same time very often. So we're gonna try to all meet together so that we know, okay, when the permit is issued, who's getting a copy of that and all that. Cause the things that we were sort of missing, things that came up were permits that either were issued like a year and a half ago or something like that and hadn't been flagged because someone, people just forgot about it or whatever. So anyway, I think we've found most of those issues, and we're gonna, as I said, we're gonna have a kind of general meeting to discuss that. So I think we're in good shape going forward. The one thing I know that we have left to do is solar installation over on the Danielle Road, just because it's not fully built, and that's kind of a special.
The state does that, don't they?
I think so, but Justin there has to be some grand list component about that for the test. So Justin's gonna be working with our district advisor on that, so. So yeah, I think, a lot of it has to do with the state, but Justin, there is a part of it that is a local component that's the one that in general, I think he's very comfortable working in houses and he's not quite he's getting there with the farms. I think between here and Berkshire, he's gonna see a lot of farms, so but I think another part of it is just that, the way that he's also adapting to the way the listing has been done in Sheldon and in some cases like a farm is, for a good example, is that there might be 6 or 7 structures on the property, and unfortunately on the software you only draw 1 or 2 of them. You might draw the house and the garage, but you don't draw any of the other things. So the rest of them are all like a set of numbers in terms of, and so you kind of have to look around and see like, well, which one do I think is worth this much money, or has this much square footage, or match them all up. So we did a lot of remeasuring just to make it a little easier for him to figure out what's on there. And then in some cases it's not accurate either. So anyway, I think in general we're slowly working toward a more accurate grand list. And anyway, there were quite a few new properties. Unfortunately, there's a couple people who I'm sure wanted to make more progress on their property than they made so far this year, but there were a few that, for whatever reason, contractors or whatever, they weren't as far along as we thought they would be when we visited in the fall. But anyway, in general, I think the grand list is gonna go up, but we shall see. Okay, quickly through the rest of this, we continue to have an issue with the generator at the school. They had a day that the power went out, the generator came on, but it never transferred any power over to the school. And then when the power came back on, it turned off. And then like a week later, they called us because it came on in the morning to do its self-test, but then it never shut off for hours and hours and hours. So I got reliant on the staff went down and looked at it, and they couldn't, between them and, the school staff, they couldn't, he said, this is a little beyond me, so I called Reliant, and I'm not sure what happened. They for some reason didn't seem to have my contact information, and anyway, we've had to reschedule the appointment for this Wednesday, so hopefully we'll get them to look at it and see. It sounds like there's some issue with the transfer switch, but it's complex, because
I thought that was a manual process to transfer it.
it used to be, I
Okay.
think it used to be, and I'm not sure if that was done at the town's behest or the school's behest to make it an automatic switch, but maybe we should go back to it being a manual, I don't know.
If that's something the school did, because it was, when we used to take care of it, it was a manual, but they had the janitor there that had been there for a while, he knew how to do it. So.
Right. So, I don't know, maybe, I'll talk when the guy comes, I'll figure out what, he can tell me what's wrong with it, and maybe we should go back to it being a manual switch.
I was gonna say, if it's not automatic now, or whatever, it's gonna be a big price tag to make it automatic.
Right. Well, my understanding is it's supposed to be working automatically, but for some reason it isn't. Okay. So, as was discussed in the minutes a little bit, Jane and I have been kind of reorganizing the HR administration. So I've taken over the. Again, she's still getting the bills for all these things, but for the health insurance and all the insurance policies that relate to our personnel and the drug testing, all those things, I've taken over the kind of name on the account and the person who deals with them, and makes changes to those accounts. So that seems to be going well so far. The zoning board is gonna have a hearing this, tomorrow about, there is a party that wants to buy the old, Andy Bono Machinery Corporation and sell some not farm machinery, but I think they wanna sell trailers or something like that there, so, that's what that is about, but there are a number of, zoning permits in the pipeline, new houses and a couple of accessory dwelling units. So it's sort of starting to uptick on that in terms of new development. And the planning commission is still working on the zoning bylaws. They had struggled, they didn't end up having a meeting last month, so that's kind of getting moved into May, but I think by June, I would hope that they'd be done with those zoning bylaws, so you guys can review them. Speaking of looking ahead here, at your next meeting, I think we'll have someone from NRPC here to discuss the ongoing Act 250 reform and what NRPC is doing about that and what that's going to mean for town. Tim Smith of Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation is going to be here also. And the other business that's going to be coming up in the near and then further term. We have RFPs out right now for roadside mowing, for tax mapping, and for the reappraisal. So those will be in your next 2 meetings. You'll be dealing with those. Working on getting a couple more quotes for the fire truck lease agreement. So hopefully we'll have that set for you at the end of in the April meeting, the next April meeting. And in that red folder there are the quotes that we got for lawnmowers. If you guys want, I think I sent an email about that, but we will look at those. One that's highlighted is the one that Seth selected, so we haven't even ordered, but we haven't received an invoice for that yet, but he determined on that one because he thought it was the best deal and also includes a 3-year warranty with it. It was a more commercial model, and he thought it was, we were getting the most for our money on that one. Okay, and then slightly more distantly into the future in May and June, we're gonna have to, we'll be coming up on renewing our contracts for our police contract, the zoning administrator and the assessor. So I'll be discussing with the sheriff, asking him to prepare a couple of contracts for you guys to look at for that. And if you guys recall, on Justin's contract, we have been trouble with Johnson, Hyde Park, Berkshire, and St. George. So there's a little committee of people from those towns that meets to discuss Justin's contract, and I'm your representative on that committee. So I'll be having a meeting in, I think, the first week of May about looking at what Justin's contract would, what we'll be looking for Justin's contract for, and then that will get negotiated with the committee, and then it'll come back out to the select boards to look at. And the zoning administrator contract is pretty much standard NRPC, I guess. We'll look at how many hours we want. We might want to discuss how many, if we want to make any adjustment on that. Usually it goes up a little bit every year, and we just sometimes Mike or Danielle will have to just budget how many hours they have in Sheldon to fit their contract. It seems to be going well. Okay, I think that's it.
Okay, we'll schedule that visit for the father yesterday. He said he'd be back around by Thursday, so we could do it like first part of next week, or
Okay.
anytime, I guess. Sounded like you.
I assume you prefer during the day, although I guess if there's still daylight, 5 or 6 at night, you can do it then too. That's probably easy for some of you, but.
And I know I have to be in St. Albans on Wednesday for a doctor's appointment, so technically I probably could just have some time Wednesday later in the morning, or like after, let's say after 9, maybe 10.
Okay. So this is. Excuse me, it'd be Wednesday the 23rd. Now, Seth won't be here next week, he's on vacation next week, so.
Does he need to be there?
I don't know that he needs to be, although, he'll have opinions about it, I'm sure, but,
Can it wait till the following week?
that's up to you. We could, yeah, he'll be back on the 28th, I think, so.
could we do it? Well, let's see, he said he was coming to the meeting that night, could we do it
Yes.
before the meeting?
Possibly, yep.
We could,
Monday the
we
28th,
could, we
yeah.
could stop over there and look at the
Yeah.
layout, talk about it a little bit, and then come back here if we run out of time over there, we could come back here and
Okay.
during the meeting discuss it, do it.
Mm-hmm.
You do 7 o'clock, or
Yeah, that'll work.
give us a half hour
Okay.
there, till Greg 6:45, and then we can get started. I'm done.
I have to do the same for my husband.
I used to pick him up there. Okay.
Okay. Open meeting law and municipal ethics training.
Okay, so
Did you
the,
get something on that?
yeah, so, I was just coming back around it because I know I looked in the Secretary of State Secretary of State's office has prepared I think it's 45-minute training on the municipal ethics, and then I think they also have a training on open meeting law as well, so it's a video module you guys could either watch at home, or we could arrange to just have everybody come and meet, and we could watch it all together, or some of you. And then VLC, I just brought this up because League of Cities and Towns is doing a training on Wednesday for the open meeting law as well. So I was just bringing it back around to your attention. Not that we need to necessarily make a decision about it, but just wanted to let you know that those options are out there. It's not, but I think, I can't remember on the open meeting law, but on the municipal ethics, that's all of you need to take that training, and you have to do it by September. I think the open meeting law, I think only Steve has to take it, but because you're the chair, but really you could all take it. It wouldn't be, but I think you're all encouraged to take it. But you don't necessarily have to by the letter of the law. But,
You said that's online?
yeah, so it's available online. So I could just send you all an email with it, or
Yeah, I did one for the library, so,
right. Okay.
assuming it
Probably
works
the
the
same
same way,
thing,
then it would probably be similar. That one
Right.
was like a video conference with a whole
Right.
bunch of people.
Yeah.
But there was maybe a few questions, but
Right.
it wasn't extensive outside of the information that was just given.
Right. So.
Is that something we need to do together?
You don't need to, it's just a suggestion in case,
Okay.
if you all just wanna get here half an hour early for a meeting and just watch it, would also work too. And you actually doesn't have to be, you don't have to warn a meeting to do that, you can, cause you're just doing that, you're not discussing business, you're just, but,
Sure,
Anyway,
it's not
yeah.
violating the open
Right.
meeting law.
right. I've been told that if you just are there to watch a meeting, and watch the video together, that would not be a violation.
Well, if there weren't two of you in the same room,
I know.
you're violating the open meeting law.
That's what I've been told,
Okay.
but,
I think as long as you're not discussing any particular, agenda. One of the things that I saw in the training that I took is that they had a listing of suggested things for the whole group of us to do as like bonding exercises. And that those would not be counted as a meeting, as we would not be discussing necessarily any
yeah, well,
business.
one thing leads to another sometimes, so.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What did we have left on those employees?
So, the only, I only put that on there because, we have not done anything for Hubert yet, and I
Oh,
didn't talk to him about it, so I didn't know if I should invite him to come to a meeting, or just wanna consider that an executive session or not. I mean, I don't really have anything to evaluate him with, so,
Yeah.
but, and then we also have a couple other, not that the other officers that we have would be like Cody, our animal control officer, and that's pretty much it, cause I think everybody else is either on a stipend or just gets the, standard, officer rate for compensation. So, I was just bringing up those loose ends there.
Well, if we're going into executive
Yeah.
session for personnel later, we can do that then, I guess.
Okay.
Is there anything else that we haven't covered yet? We need to cover?
I think everything there is a little older. There is I guess there is a report in there, I think I told you about, but on the Historical Society, that is the Brownfield area, they did testing on it again, and somebody is supposed to be telling us how to remediate that. It's really, at first, they had thought, they had done the Brownfield testing originally because that used to be a gas station. And, they took the gas tanks out. My understanding, there's no problem from the gas tanks. The problems they found were chemical, because there was a big fire over there in the 30s that destroyed the bridge and all those businesses over there. And I guess there's some residual from that fire in the ground over there, and that seems to be the thing that's causing the brownfield issues over there. And I think we're basically just waiting for someone to issue guidance in terms of what mitigation should be done there, and talking to Andy Crane about it, he thinks that it may be a thing where around that building, we either need to fill it in, we need to either strip the topsoil off it or cover it up with a foot or a foot and a half of dirt or something like that. That may be what is recommended. So we're there's a big long report there, but my understanding is that we're waiting to hear what the recommendation is in terms of a strategy.
Okay. Well, I think, we'd be open to take go into executive session. Someone wanna make that motion?
I'll make the motion, go into executive session.
I second it.
Okay. We will enter into executive session to discuss some personnel stuff, and at the end of that, we'll come out of executive session and adjourn the evening.